Why most older people struggle to live past 80. 5 unexpected reasons that quietly shorten life. Part 2. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to fade quietly after 75, while others stay sharp, active, and healthy into their 90s and beyond? It's easy to blame genetics, or assume it's about exercise, diet, or medication. But what if I told you that many seniors never make it past 80, not because of obvious disease or poor lifestyle, but because of 5 subtle, creeping factors that most doctors never mention. In fact, according to data from the CDC and the National Institute on Aging, while life expectancy in the developed world has improved overall, the number of people thriving past 80 is plateauing, or even declining in some regions. And the reason may be hiding in plain sight. Here's something few people realize. Longevity isn't just about avoiding heart attacks or managing blood sugar. It's about maintaining the invisible systems that quietly regulate your body and brain every day. Systems that begin to break down when overlooked. And some of the most dangerous breakdowns don't begin in the hospital. They begin in the living room. In forgotten routines, in a quiet, dark room, or even in a silent kitchen where nobody visits anymore. For example, recent neuroscience research published in the journal Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience found that brief, daily social exchanges, even with strangers, help regulate brain activity, lower stress hormones, and delay the onset of memory decline. The researchers called these micro-social interactions and warned that their disappearance may be one of the most overlooked early predictors of cognitive and physical deterioration in older adults. And that's just the beginning. We're going to expose 5 surprising reasons why many older adults quietly decline before 80, and what you can do to stay far ahead of that curve. You'll learn why losing small talk may be more dangerous than losing muscle, how inconsistent light exposure could be damaging your immune system and sleep, and why one subtle emotional pattern may be slowly weakening your heart without you realizing it. You won't hear these in a typical doctor's visit, but they could be the very reasons some people lose their independence at 78, while others are still gardening at 94. And trust me, by the time we get to the final point, you'll never see your daily habits the same way again. Have you subscribed to this channel yet? I recommend you hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. Now let's dive into the first hidden threat that could be quietly shortening your life after 60. And it starts with something as simple as saying hello. 5 unexpected reasons why most senators struggle to live past 80. Reason number 1, the loss of micro-social engagement. Let's start with something small that makes a big difference: everyday conversations. You know those quick chats you used to have with your neighbor at the mailbox, the friendly wave to someone at the store, or the light joke with a cashier? These may seem unimportant, but they actually play a big role in keeping your brain, mood, and even body strong. Microsocial engagement means staying connected through small, daily moments with people around you. When these small social habits disappear, often after retirement or a loss, it's like your brain starts losing little pieces of energy and sharpness every day. It doesn't seem serious at first. You stop chatting with your barber. You no longer greet the mail carrier. Your trips to the grocery store become less frequent, and you start using self-checkout instead of speaking to a cashier. Slowly, these small, everyday interactions disappear, and with them, something vital begins to erode inside your brain and body. This is called microsocial engagement, and recent studies suggest it plays a far greater role in health and longevity than previously understood. Micro-social interactions, those brief, casual conversations with neighbors, clerks, or fellow walkers at the park, are like tuning forks for your nervous system. They activate neural circuits responsible for attention, empathy, language, and emotional regulation. And when these interactions vanish, so does the stimulation those circuits rely on to stay sharp. A 2022 study in Nature Aging found that older adults who engaged in small, daily social exchanges had significantly lower levels of cortisol, the stress hormone, and showed slower cognitive decline over time. The researchers concluded that it's not just deep relationships that matter, but also the social vitamins we receive through casual engagement with the world around us. And yet, for millions over 60, these social vitamins are disappearing. The reasons are many: retirement, physical limitations, grief, safety fears, and increasingly digital lifestyles that isolate more than they connect. But the result is the same. The brain, no longer receiving regular social stimulation, begins to shrink its activity in key regions. Decision-making slows, memory weakens, and emotional resilience fade. But it's not just the mind that suffers. A lack of micro-social engagement has been linked to higher levels of systemic inflammation, the silent background condition behind heart disease, arthritis, and immune dysfunction. According to researchers at the University of Chicago, loneliness is now considered as damaging to physical health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And it often begins not with deep isolation, but with the slow erosion of these tiny, daily moments of connection. But here's the good news. Rebuilding micro-social engagement doesn't require deep friendships or large social circles. It starts with reintroducing intentional moments of interaction into your day. Try this. Walk the same route at the same time each morning and make eye contact with those you pass. Shop at local stores where you can speak to someone instead of scanning a machine. Greet your neighbors, even with just a wave or hello. Over time, these brief interactions reawaken circuits in your brain responsible for empathy, speech, and memory recall. They also reduce isolation-driven inflammation and help stabilize your mood, energy, and even digestion. We often assume that aging well requires exercise and vitamins, but your nervous system needs connection just as much. When you remove daily human contact, your body behaves as if it's under threat and slowly begins to shut down systems not needed for survival. And so, the slow fade begins, not from disease, but from disconnection. Let's move now to the second hidden reason many people decline faster after 70, and it has everything to do with purpose. Reason number 2, gradual loss of daily purpose. Now imagine waking up in the morning and having nothing important to do. No job to get to, no one expecting you, no plans on the calendar. At first, that might sound peaceful, but over time, it can wear down your health more than you think. Daily purpose is the feeling that you have a reason to get up, move, and take care of yourself. It could be caring for a pet, tending a garden, going to a regular group, or even cooking for yourself. Without something meaningful to focus on, your body and mind can start to shut down, slowly, quietly, without warning. This is the slow erosion of daily purpose, one of the most overlooked but powerful contributors to early decline in aging adults. A 2019 study published in JAMA Network Open followed over 6,000 adults over the age of 50. It found that those with a strong sense of purpose in daily life had a 30% lower risk of dying over the next 5 years compared to those with low or no sense of purpose. This held true regardless of income, education, or physical health. But here's the catch. Most people don't lose purpose all at once. They lose it gradually, often without realizing it. Retirement removes the work structure. Children grow up and become independent. Spouses pass away. Social roles shrink. And slowly, the rituals that gave rhythm and meaning to everyday life begin to vanish. The morning coffee no longer accompanies reading for a meeting. The walk to the store has no longer a friend waiting. Even cooking becomes optional, and so it's skipped. Without these routines, the brain receives fewer signals to initiate movement, appetite, or alertness. The body begins to conserve energy, a biological response to perceived irrelevance. Muscles atrophy, balance weakens, and motivation drops. As daily actions become more passive, digestion slows, metabolism falters, and sleep becomes fragmented. But this is not just physical. The human brain craves meaning. When it lacks it, symptoms of depression, fatigue, and memory fog emerge, not as a cause of illness, but as a reflection of unmet emotional needs. Dopamine levels, the neurotransmitter associated with motivation and reward, fall. Inflammation rises. Even immune markers weaken, making the body more susceptible to infections and slower to heal. The tragedy? Many older adults chalk it up to normal aging, not realizing they're not sick, they're unstimulated. But there is a way back. Rebuilding daily purpose doesn't require going back to work or volunteering full-time. It starts with reinstating small, meaningful anchors into your day. Begin a morning routine that includes a task you care about, like tending to a garden or writing in a journal. Commit to preparing one meal each day with care, not for fuel, but as a ritual. Assign yourself a project each week, even a simple one, organizing photos, learning a new dish, fixing something broken. What matters isn't how big the task is. It's that you chose it, you care about it, and you showed up for it. Purpose doesn't retire. It adapts. And those who continue to invest in purpose, no matter how small, give their brain and body a reason to stay engaged, responsive, and alive. Now, let's turn to the third silent threat to longevity. One you won't feel until it's already doing damage. And it starts with the kind of light you're getting every day. Reason number 3. Disrupted sleep cycles from irregular light exposure. Your body has a built-in clock that tells you when to sleep, when to wake, when to eat, and even when to repair itself. This clock depends on getting the right kind of light at the right time, mainly bright light in the morning and low light at night. But many older adults don't get enough natural daylight, especially those who stay indoors most of the day. At the same time, they're getting too much artificial light from TV screens and lamps at night. This confuses the body's rhythm, making sleep worse, energy lower, and even weakening your immune system and memory. You may think the biggest threat to your sleep is a noisy neighbor, a late-night coffee, or an uncomfortable mattress. But the truth is far more subtle and far more dangerous. It's the light around you, or more precisely, the lack of the right kind of light at the right time. As we age, our bodies become more sensitive to light cues, and yet we are increasingly deprived of the natural signals that once told our brain when to wake, when to rest, and when to repair. This disruption in our circadian rhythm, the internal clock that governs everything from hormone production to immune response, is now considered a major contributor to early decline in older adults. Here's how it happens. Our circadian rhythm depends on a consistent pattern of bright daylight exposure in the morning and darkness in the evening. This rhythm keeps our body's systems synchronized: metabolism, digestion, cognition, and even cell repair. But according to a 2021 study published in the journals of gerontology, older adults spend less than 1 hour per day in bright, natural daylight. At the same time, they're exposed to hours of dim indoor lighting during the day and blue-spectrum artificial light from televisions, tablets, and phones late at night. This inverted light pattern sends confusing signals to the brain. Melatonin, the hormone that tells the body it's time to sleep, is suppressed. Cortisol, the stress hormone, remains elevated. Sleep becomes shallow, fragmented, and less restorative. And poor sleep isn't just about feeling tired. It damages your immune system, leaving you more vulnerable to infections. It increases your risk of cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. It accelerates memory loss, increases depression, and even affects bone density, because vitamin D production, triggered by natural sunlight, also begins to plummet. In fact, research from the University of California found that disrupted circadian rhythms in seniors are strongly linked to earlier mortality, especially among those with cognitive decline. Fortunately, this is one of the most fixable threats on the list, but it requires intention. Start by exposing your eyes, without sunglasses, to bright daylight within 30 minutes of waking up. A 15-minute walk or time near a sunny window is enough to reset your biological clock. In the evening, begin dimming lights 2 hours before bed. Avoid screens for at least an hour prior to sleep. If needed, wear blue light blocking glasses or install apps that warm your device's color temperature. And perhaps most importantly, create a daily rhythm. Consistent wake and sleep times, regular meals, outdoor breaks, because your body craves order, and when that order is lost, health begins to unravel silently, night by night. You can't feel circadian disruption, but it touches every system in your body. Protect your internal rhythm, and you protect everything, from memory to muscle strength. Let's now move into the fourth factor, a behavior that appears protective on the surface, but may actually be accelerating physical decline. It's something many well-meaning seniors do every day. And it starts with fear. Reason number 4. Overcautious inactivity? As we get older, we naturally become more careful. That's smart. But sometimes we go too far. Maybe you stopped walking much because you were afraid of falling, or you gave up doing chores because you felt tired one day. Slowly, that playing it safe turns into barely moving at all. And when you stop using your muscles, balance, and strength, your body loses them faster than you think. Overcautious inactivity means becoming too still because of fear. But the less you move, the weaker and more unsteady you get, and that actually increases your chances of falling or getting sick. You avoid walks when the weather looks uncertain. You say no to social events with stares or crowds. Your world slowly shrinks, not because you're weak, but because you're trying to be safe. And yet, this overcorrection, this well-meaning caution, can quietly backfire. This is what experts now call overcautious inactivity, and it's a silent epidemic among aging adults. According to a 2022 report from the National Institute on Aging, nearly 60% of adults over 65 engage in significantly less physical activity after experiencing even a minor fall or balance scare. While this seems protective, the long-term consequences are profound. Here's the irony. The very inactivity meant to prevent injury becomes the reason injury, and decline becomes more likely. Why? Because the human body was not designed for stillness. Muscles, joints, circulation, and the vestibular system, which controls balance, all rely on regular use to remain functional. And when movement is restricted, especially out of fear, the body rapidly begins to decondition. Muscle mass declines, flexibility tightens, reflexes dull. Even the nerves responsible for coordinating balance start to degrade due to lack of stimulation. Within weeks, posture worsens. Within months, walking becomes labored. And within a year, even getting up from a chair can feel overwhelming. And that fear? It only grows stronger as strength and confidence fade. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Geriatric Physical Therapy found that seniors who avoided activity due to fear of falling were twice as likely to experience a future fall. It becomes a cycle of avoidance, weakness, and collapse. But it doesn't have to be this way. Counteracting overcautious inactivity doesn't mean taking reckless risks. It means reintroducing movement safely, intentionally, and consistently. Even small changes have enormous effects. Start with chair-based exercises or gentle stretching. Use support rails or walking sticks, not to avoid movement, but to support more of it. Work with a physical therapist to build a strength routine that suits your current abilities. Prioritize functional strength, movements that mimic real life, standing from a chair, reaching overhead, stepping sideways. These are the skills that maintain independence, prevent falls, and protect the body's ability to recover. And don't forget the brain-body link. Movement stimulates blood flow to the hippocampus, the brain's memory center. It improves mood, lowers blood pressure, and enhances sleep quality. Every step, every reach, every stretch becomes a signal to the body. We are still living, still engaging, still capable. You're not fragile, you're adaptive. And while caution is wise, it should never come at the cost of vitality. Now let's explore the final hidden threat. One that doesn't live in your muscles or your bones, but deep within your emotions. And left unaddressed, it can quietly drain life force from the inside out. Reason number E5. Emotional suppression from loss and isolation. Finally, let's talk about something most people don't like to admit: emotional pain. When you've lost a loved one, or feel disconnected from people you used to be close to, it hurts. But instead of talking about that pain, many seniors keep it inside. They smile, say "I'm fine," and carry the weight silently. This is called emotional suppression, holding in sadness, loneliness, or stress without expressing it. But emotions don't disappear just because we ignore them. They build up inside and can cause real physical problems: sleep trouble, heart strain, digestive issues, and even memory loss. By the time someone reaches their 70s or 80s, they've likely lived through more loss than most people care to imagine. A spouse, a sibling, a lifelong friend, perhaps even a child. These losses leave scars, not always visible, but deeply etched into the emotional fabric of a person's life. And yet, many seniors are taught, directly or indirectly, to carry that pain quietly, to keep it inside, to stay strong for others, to avoid burdening their children. Over time, this emotional silence becomes habitual. Grief is folded inward, tears are swallowed, conversations remain surface level. But here's the critical truth: what the heart suppresses, the body absorbs. Emotional suppression, the chronic, unconscious holding back of grief, sadness, anger, and even joy, has measurable physical consequences. A 2021 study from psychosomatic medicine found that older adults who consistently suppressed emotions had higher levels of systemic inflammation, elevated blood pressure, poorer sleep quality, and reduced immune function. Another study from UCLA revealed that chronic emotional suppression was linked to a 32% higher risk of cardiovascular events, including heart attacks and strokes, even after controlling for other lifestyle factors like diet and exercise. The reason lies in the mind-body connection. When strong emotions are avoided rather than expressed, the nervous system enters a prolonged state of sympathetic arousal, commonly known as fight or flight. Over time, this can dysregulate hormone levels, impair digestion, interrupt sleep, and increase vulnerability to chronic illnesses. And for those already living in isolation, the effects are amplified. Without safe spaces to express pain, without trusted people to witness your grief, emotional energy can become stagnant. The result is often seen as fatigue, tension, poor appetite, gastrointestinal distress, or even chest pain, symptoms that doctors may treat physically without recognizing the deeper emotional origin. But emotional suppression is not irreversible. One of the most healing acts you can do as an aging adult is to begin expressing what's been unspoken. This does not mean reliving every trauma or revisiting every grave. It means creating space, daily, weekly, gently, for honest reflection, emotional release, and inner acknowledgement. Simple practices can help. Write in a journal about someone you miss or something you never said. Join a support group, even virtually, where others understand the emotional terrain of aging. Allow yourself to cry during a movie or while reading a memory-filled letter. Let the emotion come, then let it pass. Even speaking aloud to a photo of a loved one can regulate your emotional brain, because the goal is not to fix the past, but to stop carrying it silently. Healing doesn't always look like a breakthrough. Sometimes it's just breathing easier, feeling lighter, sleeping through the night for the first time in months. Your emotions were never meant to be hidden. They were meant to be heard, felt, and released. When they are, the body follows and begins to heal. Now that we've uncovered these 5 quiet forces that shorten life after 60, let's move to the conclusion and what you can do today to turn awareness into protection for your future. Now that we've walked through these 5 silent forces, you might be feeling something stirring inside you. A sense that what shortens life isn't always disease or even age, but disconnection. Disconnection from people, from purpose, from light, from movement, and from your own emotional truth. Let's recap what we've uncovered. Micro-social engagement, those tiny conversations and casual hellos, are more than pleasantries. They are lifelines for your brain and nervous system. Loss of daily purpose, when unchecked, invites the body to shut down vital processes because it no longer feels needed. Disrupted light exposure, often overlooked, slowly erodes your internal rhythm, stealing sleep, lowering immunity, and dimming cognitive sharpness. Overcautious inactivity, though born of safety, ironically makes us weaker, more imbalanced, and more vulnerable to the very dangers we hoped to avoid. And finally, emotional suppression, the hidden reservoir of unexpressed grief and isolation, becomes a weight too heavy for the heart, both literally and figuratively. What do these have in common? They happen quietly, slowly, without much notice, until suddenly the body and mind begin to withdraw and the window of vitality closes faster than anyone expected. But here's the truth I want to leave you with. It doesn't have to be this way. Awareness is powerful, and now that you understand these hidden risks, you have a chance to reverse them, to reintroduce purpose, social spark, movement, light, and emotional honesty back into your daily life. You don't need to become a marathon runner. You don't need to fix everything at once. You simply need to begin with one intentional action at a time. Step outside in the morning sun. Call someone just to say hello. Sit quietly and write down what you're feeling, even if no one ever reads it. Say yes to that invitation, even if you feel unsure. Begin a daily habit, however small, that reminds your body, I'm still here. I still matter. Because you do. And before we part, I want to ask, did any of these 5 reasons surprise you? Were you expecting something more medical and less emotional? That's part of the hidden danger. These causes don't show up on blood tests, but they show up in how we live and how long we get to keep living fully. If this video shifted your perspective even slightly, I'd love to hear from you. Type 1 in the comments if you found value in it. If not, type 0 and tell me how I can serve you better. Every bit of feedback helps us bring you stronger, more helpful content. Have you subscribed to this channel yet? I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another life-saving insight made just for you. You deserve more than just years. You deserve good years. Let's protect them together.